The Varsity Spears surge, Ottawa contenders emerge, and I have the urge to see if the OVFL Live Player of the Week knows how to spell. OVFL Live starts now.
Hi, everybody.
You're listening to OVFL Live, your radio home for OVFL scores, stories, and interviews with Marshall Ferguson. Welcome inside OVFL Live. I'm your host, Marshall Ferguson. It is Monday, June 2nd, 2014. This is episode 2 of OVFL Live, brought to you by Scoop It. If you forget to use your hands in the kitchen or how to, use Scoop It. It's the product for you. I will be posting a link to that ridiculous infomercial as soon as possible. Wanted to talk today about a wide variety of things. The OVFL is alive and well. Some great weekend action. I was able to travel around. I was at Niagara playing in Mississauga, which was a fantastic game, as well as the Hamilton Ironmen junior varsity team moving to 2-0 in their game against the Etobicoke Eagles at Father Henry Carr High School. They put on a great event there. It was a long day, I know, around a lot of different places in the province. There was a lot of people that were out for very long afternoons in the sun. If you've got a forearm tan, or maybe a slight burn, like myself, don't feel bad about it. It's okay. We are going visual this week as well on the podcast that will be put out on YouTube from at OVFL, in English, _live. We have a camera in the room now. Hey, Mom. How's it going? We'll be putting that out. But for the radio listeners that are listening right now live, hope you enjoy the show. Going to talk for a couple of minutes here about, first of all, my co-host. Where's Tommy? Tom Sterling's not here today. I'm missing my big man on the right. That's okay. Hopefully he'll make his way in. He is caught in the Golden Horseshoe Transit that everybody knows so much about at this end of the province. I have been out the last couple of days watching the Hamilton Tiger Cats take part in their training camp. They have begun, despite the CFL labor negotiations that are ongoing. I believe the striped ballots have been sent out, and on June 5th, apparently is the deadline for them to return the ballots. I'm not the most educated guy in collective bargaining agreement deals, and I don't know exactly what the specifics are at this point. Everybody seems that they're an expert, and they want to talk about what's good and what's bad moving forward in the CFLPA and the CFL working together. The consensus is that football will be played at some point. They don't think they're going to lose regular season games, and they believe that they might lose a preseason, they might lose a couple of days of camp, but the owners have not locked out the players, so CFL camps are ongoing. Yesterday, the big news, Chad Cackert of the Toronto Argonauts. Like I said, this is a Canadian football show, OVFL Live. We're going to talk a lot about the CFL as well. Chad Cackert, he showed up to camp and said, yeah, I'm just going to retire and become your strength and conditioning guy, which I find pretty interesting. It's a weird dynamic for a guy that's moving on from his playing days. Very suddenly, I saw an interview with Chad Owens saying, is he really retiring? Like, it didn't really hit him at the right time, but it's an interesting dynamic on the Argos. It'll be something that's fun to kind of keep track of through the season. Also wanted to mention, thank you for listening to the first episode. We had overwhelming support. It was really, really fun to have a little bit of interaction with the people around the province that make this league so great. It is a special league because it ranges so wide across this great province, and there's so many great people involved. So we thank you for listening. Quick little fun story here. My dad also works in the broadcasting industry, works for CKWS-TV in Kingston, the CBC affiliate in Kingston, CKWS. And he was out on a commercial shoot at the University Hospital Foundation in Kingston. And Julie White, if you're listening, she went up to my dad, and I don't think she knew who my dad was or that I happened to be the son of Brian. And she said, oh, I heard this great new radio show. It was OFL, OVA, OVFL Live. That's okay, though, Julie. We appreciate you listening and bringing it up to somebody random on the street who just happens to be my biological father. So that is that. I think we should get right into the score recap. If you are okay with that, I am okay with that. Like I said, it was a very exciting weekend around the entire OV, and there's a bunch of scores to get here too. So let's fire through them, shall we? We'll start from the top down. Had a complaint last week on YouTube I didn't cover Bantam. We're covering Bantam this week. Not even a question. The Metro Toronto Wildcats were defeated by the Pickering Dolphins in Pickering, 29-20, one of the better games of the week. The York Simcoe Buccaneers defeated the Cornwall Wildcats 21-14. The game I was at, senior varsity, the Etobicoke Eagles, behind a ginormous running attack. I believe they had close to 300 yards on the ground. They only threw the ball, I think, under 10 times, but it was all they needed as they defeated the Hamilton Ironmen 50-23. Kingston Grenadiers senior varsity got into the win column 25-12 over the Cumberland Panthers. The Myers Riders, who we will be speaking to the MVP of that game possibly later on, they defeated the Markham Raiders 60-7 as Markham moves to 1-1 after defeating Cornwall in Week 1. Oshawa Hawkeyes fell to the Toronto Thunder 34-13 at the Oshawa Civic Center. The Essex Ravens won 35-13 against Sault Ste. Marie. Sault Ste. Marie played at Hamilton in Week 1 and at Essex in Week 2. I want to hear from somebody on Twitter at OVFL Live from Sault Ste. Marie. How are the guys doing? Are they still okay being on the bus? How many movies did you watch? What did you watch? I want to know. The London Junior Mustangs, 22-10 over the Halton Cowboys in varsity action. And the game that I was at, Niagara and Mississauga, it was the Niagara Spears pulling out ahead. That was a real great matchup going into that, but Niagara really separated themselves. A score of 45-7 in favor of the Spears over the Warriors in Mississauga. The Cambridge Lions won 20-7 over the Brampton Bulldogs, and that is your recap of varsity action. Now, JV. The Hamilton Ironmen moved to 2-0 behind Coach Ken McGuire's team, 38-14 over the Etobicoke Eagles. Cumberland Panthers went into Kingston at Loyalist Collegiate and Vocational Institute, or as I like to call it, the place I lost every game I ever played. They beat the Kingston Grenadiers 41-14. Myers, again, a strong performance. They had a great weekend against Markham. They defeated the Junior Varsity Raiders 58-0. Now, the highest point total of the weekend, 76 for the Essex Ravens. 76 points against the Sault Ste. Marie Sabercats. They defeated them 76-14. 54-3 was the final Toronto Thunder in JV action over the Oshawa Hawkeyes. And in what we'll call the game of the week, best on it being the closest game yet, the Metro Toronto Wildcats were again defeated by the Pickering Dolphins, this time by a score of 22-21 in JV action. 65 points for the London Junior Mustangs over the Halton Cowboys. 65-12 was the final there. And in JV action, maybe some kickback from the varsity beatdown that happened. The score was 27-0 for the Mississauga Warriors over the Niagara Spears. Cambridge Lions 34-21 over the Brampton Bulldogs. And now to Bantam. For all you Bantam lovers out there, hey, it doesn't matter what the age group is. Football matters in this province. 63-6 for the Cumberland Panthers over the Kingston Grenadiers. Another beatdown in Kingston, unfortunately, for the Bantam squad. The Myers Riders 48-0 over Markham. I should have added up how much Myers beat Markham by in the three different age groups. That's okay. We'll figure that out for next time. Toronto Thunder 53-22 over the Oshawa Hawkeyes. Essex Ravens, again, another strong performance, defeated the Hamilton Ironmen in Bantam play 50-6. The London Junior Mustangs beat up on the Halton Cowboys 40-0, and that game was at Jean Vanier Catholic High School in Halton. Pickering Dolphins went 3-0 against Metro Toronto. Gosh, those three close games, they were all within reach for the Wildcats. The score in Bantam play was 41-35 for the Pickering Dolphins. The Niagara Spears defeated the Mississauga Warriors 49-14. And again, the Brampton Bulldogs in Bantam play defeating the Cambridge Lions 43-7. So that is your rundown of the scores from across the league on the weekend. What a weekend it was. It was awesome to be out there, enjoying some of the time with the guys, watching them perform and enjoy what they do, and couldn't have enjoyed it anymore. Now, I wanted to throw out some of the teams that we're going to call this the Going Streaking segment, because these teams are on a win streak. They are getting very, very close to having some major matchups later on in the season. And I think we have a sound clip for them here.
We're going streaking! Yeah!
That was Will Ferrell from Old School. If you're familiar with it, you'll be familiar with the Going Streaking reference. Hey, Snoop-a-loop! Bring your green hat. Varsity Unbeatens, Cambridge, Niagara, London Junior Mustangs, Pickering Dolphins, Toronto Thunder, and Ottawa Myers Riders. Junior Varsity Unbeatens, Cambridge, Mississauga, Hamilton, Myers Riders again, Cumberland Panthers, the Pickering Dolphins, and the Toronto Thunder. In the Junior Varsity Wedges division, there are 4 unbeaten teams and 5 winless teams. A lot of parity in that side of the conference, I should say. There'll be some important matchups, obviously, moving forward with those teams that are unbeaten. As it seems in the JV Wedges division, there are some teams that are really separating themselves. In Bantam unbeatens, the last group we have here, the Brampton Bulldogs, the Essex Ravens, Ottawa Myers Riders, Toronto Thunder, and the Pickering Dolphins. Those are the ones that are left. So that is it for your rundown of scores from the previous weekend as we move forward here, hoping that Tommy Boy shows up at some point. But that's the rundown of weekend action. I'd love to hear from you on Twitter or on Facebook at OVFL_live on Facebook, just OVFL Live. Send us some of your pictures from the weekend. We love seeing parents and supporters of this league across the province that send us in some great pictures and some great moments that really do happen from week to week. So looking forward to getting those hopefully from you. Wanted to look also at the Ottawa Myers that have put together the first couple of weeks here. They've been incredibly impressive. They won, their junior varsity team won in Kingston 38-15 in week 1. Followed that up with the win against Markham 58-0 this past weekend. Their Bantam squad beat Kingston 44-0 and now defeated Markham 48-0. And I looked up the schedule and I tried to find who is playing against Ottawa Myers next. It turns out it's the Metro Toronto Wildcats, who just had a tough weekend going 0-3, I believe, against the Pickering Dolphins in Pickering. In 2 weeks' time from now, both the JV and Bantam squads for the Wildcats will travel to Ottawa to take on Myers. And I have some audio from inside the locker room here of the Wildcats realizing they have to go on the road and play against these pretty dominant Ottawa Myers teams.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I don't know if it sounded exactly like that, but it was pretty close. There are also a large number of winless teams left in the OVFL. Last week, we turned on the sob story music. We reached out. We told you to get better. I'm sure that you are through the season. Keep progressing. Keep working hard. But in the meantime, I just want you to know, unfortunately, there's a large number of you. That just means that there's some great teams in this league. But keep working. You can find yourself in the playoffs. And in the meantime, you can take solace in the fact that you are not alone.
You are not alone. You are not alone. I am here with you. I am here with you.
I am literally here with you as I went 0-8 when I played. I brought that up last week. I actually spoke to my old head coach, Cam McFadden, who coached me with the Limestone Grenadiers and the Kingston Grenadiers now, and reached out to him and said, hey, I'm doing an OVFL show. Thought that would give you a good laugh. And so we'll probably have him on the show, and we can go through the history of teams that maybe don't do so hot to start the season or through the whole season. You never know. Either way, it works. That is, it's interesting to see such a difference in quality across the province. But the guys that aren't winning the games in the first couple of weeks, keep fighting. You will get better, and you will improve and try and make the playoffs. Varsity power rankings. Now, I'm going to do power rankings each week. I want to make it very, very clear. When I do power rankings, I'm not rewarding blowouts. Sportsmanship is above all in this whole journey that we're on together this summer. I'm not rewarding teams that go out and try and throw up incredibly large stats to try and cause a big issue or make people upset. This league is about sportsmanship and players getting better and getting exposure and having a great time with their friends and fellow athletes and coaches and parents. But credit where credit is due. Teams that are performing well in the first couple of weeks, I want to give you a shout out. So I'm going to do a top 3 across the different age groups that we have here. Ottawa Myers Riders in the varsity power rankings, I have you at number 1. I don't know how I can't. The Niagara Spears are coming in at number 2, and the Essex Ravens at number 3, just by virtue of the fact that Niagara did defeat Essex in week 1, 21-14. Junior varsity power rankings, number 1. Ottawa Myers Riders. Again, I can't not. Number 2, Hamilton Ironmen. The only Ironman team left that is undefeated. They're doing a great job right now, and they are a joy to watch for someone who is here covering the Ironman a little bit. Again, I understand I'm a little bit biased trying to give them some support, but they have really played their way onto the stage, and I look forward to them having a successful season moving forward. Number 3 in the Junior Varsity Power Rankings, the Mississauga Warriors. They beat up on Niagara this week. It doesn't matter what what age group you're in, Niagara is a great football program. Honorable mention goes out in the JV age group to the Cambridge Lions, who are playing extremely good football. Bantam Power Rankings. Number 1, Essex Ravens. Blowing people out. Again, not rewarding it. Credit where credit is due. Great football. Number 2, the Ottawa Myers Riders. They make all 3 categories. Number 3, the Niagara Spears with some great performances. If you disagree, tell us why at OVFL_live. Again, love to hear with you. If you'd love to attack me personally, you can reach at me at Marsh2Fergs, and we'll also link up Tom's Twitter account in case you'd like to attack his decisions on power rankings. Now, I wanted to throw out as well the OVFL Wall of Fame. We have this new little segment I want to throw in. People that have gone on from the OVFL to do great things. Doesn't have to be on the field. It can be off. People that have really put in the work through this league and have moved on and have done some special stuff. The very first inductee into the OVFL Hall of Fame is going to be Philip Blake. Philip Blake. Now, if you're wondering who Philip is, maybe you are not incredibly adept at what he has accomplished. He was at Father Henry Carr. I saw his jersey hanging up, signed in Father Henry Carr High School. He played for the Etobicoke Eagles, went to the Baylor Bears. He used to snap to RG3, so he was up close and personal with RG3.
That's what she said.
Oh, come on, Michael Scott. Get out of here. He was drafted 108th overall by the Denver Broncos. He was picked up. That pick was actually from the Jets' trade with Denver for Tim Tebow. So essentially, what you're telling me is that Tim Tebow was traded for a guy that played in the OVFL. Who's still in the NFL and who isn't? Phil Blake's still in the NFL. He is currently on the Arizona Cardinals, and he is a proud member of the OVFL. So applause goes out to Philip Blake. Excellent. All right. So that does it for a little bit of a recap. Going to cut to an interview now I did with Jesse Card. 2 weeks ago, we had to bump it last week just because we had so much fun on the very first show. This is Jesse talking a little bit about the Ontario Football Network, some different media issues that are facing the OVFL and Canadian football in general, and ways to improve the game in Canada. Hope you enjoy it. Here's Jesse. He played at McMaster in 2002 to 2007, was an exceptional defensive back. Jesse, you hold the record for the most interceptions in McMaster football history.
I think so. I mean, I don't know if I was surpassed. I didn't hear anything about it, but...
You didn't get the email if anything happened?
No.
That's a pretty awesome record to have, though, isn't it? There's been a lot of ball hawks at this school.
Yeah, well, I'd like to say, like, the first thing is a lot of that was due to the long-standing defensive back coach at Mark Forsyth, who's if anyone's had the pleasure of being coached by that man or mentored by him, it's an unreal experience. And he just coached us up, and that was all the success that everyone's had at Mac and the defensive secondaries due to that guy.
Absolutely. So now you've moved on from the football playing days, and you are focusing on House Edge Media, which is the brand that you're working with, covering all sorts of different stuff. Tell me a little bit about House Edge and what you're trying to do with this media coverage.
Yeah, so House Edge Media, it's about 4 years old. We're out of Ottawa. There's 3 of us now involved in that business. And really the idea with it is to provide kind of alternative marketing for businesses, but also creating a niche in amateur sports and providing extra coverage, really like top rated coverage to amateur sports, where a lot of times, these sports don't get the coverage that the pros do, or right, even the collegiate level. So we're trying to bring kind of that pro production level down to the amateur level. And so far we've created a brand for the National Capital Amateur Football Association, which we've dubbed NCAF Films. Yep. And all that content can be consumed on the website ncafa.tv. And really we're kind of basing everything around our idols, which is NFL Films, and what they've been able to do for the NFL. Before the NFL Films, I don't know if you're a big, Ed Sable kind of fan, but the football life on Ed Sable is Ed Sable and also Steve Sable are pretty neat and inspiring. So that's kind of what we're working on. We also have a brand for the Junior A Hockey League, CCHL, Central Canada Hockey League. actually we were fortunate to work closely with the Carleton Place Canadians this year, which went on to the RBC Cup in Vernon, BC, and lost a pretty close series there.
Yeah, how many teams did you tell me that are in the CCHL there?
So there's 12 teams.
Yep.
Basically, the furthest point from tip to tip is Cornwall to Pembroke.
Yep.
So there's 12 franchises and just some outstanding hockey up there.
That's awesome. And, what point we're trying to get across here is that the kids that play in Ontario, in these leagues, in all of these different sports, they deserve the right type of coverage. And I think guys like you and I that have played understand the difference that it can make for an athlete when they're going through their amateur days, even into, upper high school, collegiate, all of those different things, to have the right kind of coverage. And I think sport in Canada has improved at such a large amount in the last couple of years, but we've talked about this before, that the type of coverage hasn't really changed. So people assume that the quality of sport in Canada is similar to what it was when there weren't many great athletes coming out of here going down to the States to play D1 basketball or getting drafted to the NFL. And it's important for people like us to try and give back in this way that we can, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And like you said, we have talked about this. The level of coaching has gotten so much better. And, fortunately, there's more money to go towards coaching salaries so that they can focus entirely on their job of creating, good players and giving them the tools that they need to be successful on the field or court or on the rink, whatever it be. But like you said, the production level of game, production level, what it looks like, the coverage of those games hasn't evolved much. So, Americans looking up at Canadian football see that we're playing in a farm field, and they assume that the quality is not very good, when in fact the level of play is the gap is shrinking. Yeah,
we get that from the Tiger Cat guys that are rookies that come up for rookie camp and have their training camp at McMaster. Every year I hear guys walking around campus and they go, "This is their university field?" And we're like, "Yeah, this is an amazing university field. Like, this is top-notch CIS facilities." And they just kind of laugh at it because they're so used to an entirely different standard. But there's no reason that our media coverage to expose some of the great talent that we have here can't be NCAA, NFL standard, right? There's, when you talk about the separation between Canadians and Americans in sport, well, they start at a younger age and they might have better training programs and they might be more willing to put their kids in a single sport instead of several sports, anything like that. But there's no excuse why media can't be the same, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And in fact, I think it can be even better than what's going on in the States, because the new technology and tools and the interactivity of media these days and the cross-media platforms, really is kind of, there's a lot of people dabbling in to see how we can evolve that for sports coverage and consolidate kind of the pros right down to the amateur levels and connect those athletes together, because the CFL guys that have come through the system themselves are really the best people to mentor these young kids that aspire to be in their position one day. And with Twitter, there are obviously dangers with Twitter, but really it's connecting everybody, and I think that's something that TV or radio can't do these days. So it's really kind of an exciting time, I think, to forge and evolve the media coverage of sports at all levels.
Absolutely. And what is your vision kind of moving forward, looking into what you want to do with this House Edge Media and the brands you want to create and what you want to cover, and kind of what's your end game in this coverage?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, it's really a day-to-day thing, and I think it's a matter of taking feedback all the time from athletes and coaches and parents even, to say, what are you guys looking for? What's most valuable to you? Right now, the guys in Ottawa with the National Capital Amateur Football Association have been really great and really supportive. Steve Dean is the president there, and really he's kind of like a father figure to my business partner and I, and they put a lot of trust in us to kind of take it in the direction that we see is, it needs to be taken.
Right.
And we have a site there, ncafa.tv, and really we're hosting podcasts for that league, kind of like mock radio shows. This fall, we're actually having a 13-year-old host the really younger levels, and we're providing him his own show and platform to do that. And I think the end game for us is to eventually bridge into doing some workshops and training to give people, the opportunity to host their own shows and get into this type of field without necessarily having to, commit to a college program right away. Maybe this is a good avenue for kids to try it out. And obviously, the way the economy is right now, I think jobs is important. We need to create more jobs, and people need to see the vision that you got to spend money to make money. And I think it's coming around. But the newest brand that we're going to partner with you guys on is the Ontario Football Network, and we're just kind of fleshing out what that is exactly. But the idea is to bridge the OVFL football with OUA football, and even possibly move into the high school football that's happening in Ontario, and provide the pro level coverage of those athletes. Yeah,
and consolidating those, not necessarily brands, but those leagues is so important, right? Because the coverage is so similar. It's a difference of age and the direction and league that each group of people are taking. But it's a great message to try and get out there. And I love the 13-year-old hosting the radio show.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That's going to be awesome.
We recognize this kid's talent because there was, I think it was a semifinal game in the they have tiered playoffs at the NCAFA level, so everyone gets an opportunity to play in a playoff game. So this was the A Cup semifinal game between the Myers Riders and the Bell Warriors, and there was a kid calling the game. He sounded pretty young, but he was tackled by number 45, who was a former West Carleton Wolverines. And I said to myself, who is this guy? So I approached him after the game and said, hey, would you like to do the championship games next weekend?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I'd love to, but you have to ask my mom.
Yeah.
So we're giving him his own show, and we're going to give him the tools, and he's going to cover the 8 to 10 year olds and 12 to 13, I believe. And he'll come into the studio in Ottawa and do that for us.
I'm excited to find out if he has a radio voice, because if he's off mic, he might be, hey guys, how's it going? It's really, and then
though, even better. Right?
Yeah, if he pops on the mic, you'll know something's up. If he's in this week in the Ottawa football coverage in NCAFA, we have.
Yeah, that's right.
Starts rolling through like that. You were in London the last couple of days covering the London Junior Mustangs games. What did you see out there?
Yeah, well, they played the 3 pretty strong Brampton teams, and it was a lot of good football action. As you know, Western is another, like Mac, really built up program, and they are fortunate to partner with the Western Mustangs and use the facilities and the film editing. Individual Josh at Western is responsible for doing all the cut-ups there. So they've got a really good system, and it's pretty impressive and inspiring to see. I think bringing some of those concepts that they've done back to Ottawa with the Cumberland Panthers and Myers Riders and the Ottawa GGs and obviously the Carleton Ravens. I think there's a lot of things that can be done there. So I'm excited to see if we can do something like that there. But as far as the football goes, Brampton won at the Bantam level and also at the JV level, but it was a real close shootout game at the varsity level that the Mustangs ended up taking. Nice. So I think those two programs are going to be pretty strong at all levels.
It's going to be interesting too, because after the Canada Cup break, I do some coverage for the Hamilton Ironman here in town, and the London Junior Mustangs come to town for a triple header in week 8. Okay. So there's a 2.5-3 week break, I believe, in July, and then there's only one regular season game left, but it could be an incredibly important one with the London Junior Mustangs coming into Hamilton to take on the Ironmen in a game that's likely to have a lot of implications in the Adams Conference.
That's right. I was going to say that's definitely going to have some playoff implications, and I think I'm going to do my best to be there for that game too. So who knows? We can go at the media together.
Yeah, on that absolutely. Also wanted to mention, you are based out of Ottawa. I think I'm going to have you as my Ottawa correspondent.
Perfect.
On this show, because like you say, our shows are going to tie in together. You'll be doing yours on Friday as kind of a preview of some different things, heading into the weekend. And you're going to have, do you know who you're going to have on your first show yet?
Yeah, he doesn't know this yet. So if he's listening to this, this afternoon, I'm going to ask if Matt Kastner, and John Ferguson.
You're on notice, Matt Casson.
Yeah. So he's obviously the head head coach for the JV Riders program, and the Riders always have very, very strong teams. So, and as do the Panthers as well. But we're going to try to get him in to do a piece there. And John Ferguson is also a good friend, and he's the defensive back coach there, and he's also going to be helping out the Ottawa Sooners, which is the junior football program up there. So we'll try to get those guys and see what's going on with the Riders.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be 1 hour long, previewing all the divisions and matchups, and kind of introduce what the OFN is and what you're kind of working towards.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's awesome. And Ottawa football, can't talk about Ottawa football without talking Red Blacks for a second here before we go.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's an extremely exciting time up there, obviously, with the expansion of Carleton being back in the league last year. Now you're looking at the Red Blacks. How off the chain is Ottawa going to be that first home game?
Well, it's interesting. I put that question to Justin Phillips, who's, as many know, the defensive end for the Red Blacks now. He's been traded from the Stampeders, and he's an Ottawa boy. I played with him for the Bell Warriors Football Club growing up, and he went on to Laurier and had a Vanier Cup career there. And he's won a Grey Cup now in Calgary too. So
right.
He said that he thinks that first home game when they launch the TD Stadium, which has been called, the renovations are done, and that opening kickoff, he said, I really hope that we get to kick off and I get to run down, because he thinks it's going to feel like a Grey Cup really in that town. That interview, by the way, can be seen on NCAFA.tv, and you can check that out and hear it from verbatim from him.
Yeah, from the man himself. That's awesome. Jesse, thank you for joining me in studio. It's good to have you here. I'll probably be on the phone a couple of times over the next while, but it's always good to have you in studio. Thank you for joining us, and all the best. And we'll be. That was Jesse Card in studio with me when he was down at this end of the province doing some coverage for the London Junior Mustangs. Hope you enjoyed that. Now I would like to move forward. Actually, before I do, you can catch episode 1 that he mentioned there, because he did get bumped last week. You can catch it on OFNTV.ca. Listen to episode 1. It came out, was previewing some pretty great things. He talked with Drew Tate about the kind of the mental side of the game and moving forward through injury. And I listened to it. It was a great podcast, and he's going to be doing it again this Friday. I believe he's going to have former Myers Riders quarterback Nick Gorchuk, who will be on that podcast. Now, I wanted to move forward quickly into the lineman of the week. This is going to be kind of like our Gruden's grinder, if you will, of Monday Night Football. That I wanted to give a shout out. These guys don't necessarily get the stats that they would like to have necessarily, like some of the other skill positions do. So I thought they're like a rock. So this is going to be the Like a Rock Lineman of the Week. Hey Chevy, if you'd like to sponsor this radio show, so we can actually send the Lineman of the Week a t-shirt with a logo on it that says "I'm awesome," feel more than free to do it. The Lineman of the Week this week, Niagara Spears number 58, Spencer Turpin. Spencer had a couple of sacks. It was a dominant force in that Mississauga-Niagara game that I was at. He played at Notre Dame. He's from Welland. He's a nose tackle, as well as being the long snapper for that team. So he is like a rock. That is our Lineman of the Week, which is awesome, because I want to give those guys some shouts, because when Tom is here, he will attest that maybe they don't get the credit they deserve, because the quarterbacks and running backs, as we all know, I'm telling you the basics of football now, but we need those dudes, and those dudes have to be good. And the great teams in this league, they are the ones that really show through and make that team special. Now, the next segment we have, one that you're familiar with. This is the Player of the Week.
The OVFL Live Player of the Week.
The OVFL Live Player of the Week this week is Jaegar Prot of the Ottawa Myers Riders, the 5'11", 215 receiver from Arnprior District High School. He grew up playing in the NCAFA League that Jesse Card was just speaking about for the West Carleton Wolverines, and now he is a slot combo man for the Myers Riders. This past week, listen to this, folks, he had 7 receptions for 268 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's not a misprint. An average of 38.3 yards per catch. I'm joined on the line now by Mr. Prot himself. Moves like Jaeger, how you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm good, man. First question, what's it like to be awesome?
Well, it's pretty fun, but obviously I can't do it without the rest of my teammates.
Hey, that's a good answer. That's a good Canadian guy right there. Applause for giving the team the props that they deserve. Attaboy. So, next question. Rangers or Kings? Who you got?
I like the Rangers.
You like the Rangers? Why do you like the Rangers?
I gotta stick with the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I'm kind of biased that way too, and I feel like, are you the same in the NBA? Because a lot of people take heat over everything, but when I look at that Western matchup, I kind of looked at the Spurs and OKC and said, whoever can get through there is likely to win, but I know Miami's showing through as well. What do you think?
I like Miami. I'm not gonna lie. I hop on the LeBron bandwagon.
That's okay. We're all there. Everyone's a fan. There's a reason that his ad campaign was "We Are All Witnesses," right?
Exactly.
Because he knows how special he is, and I think we all do too. What's your favorite pregame meal?
Pre-game meal? You can't go wrong with a chicken parmesan. I probably have that every pregame.
Every pregame. So if you're playing like a 1 o'clock or a 4 o'clock kickoff, like I'm sure you have moving up through the Myers Association there, do you still have like a heavy chicken parm in the morning? Is that something you would do?
Not like a heavy chicken. If we leave, like, I usually do those for like the home night games, but if we're off early on the buses, like going away, I usually just bring a couple of Caesar salad wraps and just munch on those a couple hours before.
Yeah, the Timmy's 2 for $4 deal. Can't go wrong,
yeah.
right?
Exactly.
That's essential. I'm just wondering, I've been interested lately in the culture of watching movies on the bus. What's a movie that you've watched lately on the team bus, be it this year or previous years, something that sticks out to you? Because I have a couple that are very memorable movies that maybe it's something that was a great movie you didn't have an opportunity to see before. You hopped on the bus, somebody had it, threw it in, and it's something that sticks with you through your football days.
Well, normally we're always watching the football movies. Waterboy's been played a lot.
Yep.
But recently we've just watched Warrior, the fighting movie, and I haven't really seen that before, but it was excellent.
Yeah, Warrior. I actually watched that on my way to play at Carleton this past year for McMaster. And it's a pretty wild movie, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty enjoyable, that's for sure.
Now, the real question, yeah, we get it. You're great at football. Awesome, man. Whatever. What I want to know is, can you spell?
I can attempt to spell.
Yeah, we're going to put you to the test here in a minute. The reason I'm doing this is the Scripps National Spelling Bee was on ESPN this past week. Indian-American Suram Hathwar, which I'm going to destroy his name, of New York, and Anson Sujoy of Texas shared the title Thursday after a riveting final round duel in which they nearly exhausted 25 designated championship words after they spelled a dozen words correctly in a row. Between both of them, they were both named champions. Could you give either of those guys a run for their money?
Not even close.
I'm with you, man. It's all good. All right, so I also thought, because the World Cup is coming up, I thought I would have you list off a couple of tough national nation names that could maybe give you some trouble, just to mess with you here and see how good you are. So we've got some game show music that I want to throw in behind. Can you hear my game show music, Jaeger?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Excellent. That's a little Family Feud for some background entertainment for folks. All right, now, these are 5 nations that are the 5 most commonly misspelled countries in the world. If you are right, you will hear this. And if you are wrong, you will get the foghorn of death. The very first word for you, Jaeger. Uruguay. And now, I'm going to say as well, I'm not an expert at pronouncing these country names, so I'm going to have some help. Would you like to hear a pronunciation done properly?
Yes, please.
Okay, here it is.
Uruguay. Uruguay.
There it is. Give it your best shot.
Okay, here I'm going to go U-R-U-G-U-A-Y. Uruguay.
1 for 1. You're on the board. Awesome. Now, the next question is, how many tablets and or laptops do you have in front of your face right now?
I don't have any.
Attaboy.
That's a little easy one.
Hey, that's, we'll stay on the honor system for that. It's all good. I respect, I feel like a guy that has such a great week is an honest player, has to be an honest human being. That's good. The next one, Qatar, host of the 2022 World Cup. Here is the pronunciation for Qatar.
Guitar. Guitar.
There you go. Give it your best shot. It's a tricky one.
C.
Have you ever heard of Qatar before?
No.
I only heard about it because they were in 2022 World Cup. But continue, sorry.
Qatar. Qatar.
Oh. Qatar. That's okay. That's why it's tricky, man. That's why it's one of the most misspelled ones. You are 1 for 2. You are at 50% right now, my friend. Are you ready for number 3?
Yeah.
All right. Now this one, it's connected to Bosnia. Are you up on your world geography? Do you know what nation is Bosnia and blank?
Not really, no.
That's okay. This is probably the hardest one I have on the entire board for you, okay? It's Herzegovina. Herzegovina. Okay, here's the pronunciation.
Herzegovina. Herzegovina.
Sound it out, my man. Give it a shot.
H-E-R. S or Z. That's I'll go with Z. E.
Hang on, wait. Before you go past the S or Z choice, which I don't want to give a hint away, but I'll just tell you, you're good up until this point.
Okay.
Okay? I think I led you astray by mispronouncing it. I want to make sure you have the correct pronunciation. We'll play it one more time for you here.
Herzegovina.
Okay.
Herzegovina.
Herzegovina. Okay, so after the Z, there's E. G-O-V-I-N-A.
Oh, I tried to steer you away from the E. There is no E. You got everything else correct, so I'll give that one to you. How does that sound? That was I think I led you astray. There might be a bit of a rebuttal from the Myers Riders Twitter account, who told me that you can't spell the greatest if I give you a free one like that. But I think you earned that one because that is not an easy word, and you got the Z or the S correct without me even trying to help you. So I'll give that one to you. You are 2 for 3, or maybe we'll call it 1.5 and 3. So we're still at 50%. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll call it 1.5 out of 3. Right now we're still batting at 50%. All right. Now let's go to Philippines. Okay. Philippines is going to be your next one. Here is your clue.
Pilipinas.
Nope, that's not the right clue. Sorry, here's the real one.
Philippines.
This one's tricky with all the vowels. Be careful, Jaeger. Here we go. Give it a shot.
Let's go. P-H-I-L-I-P-P-I-N-E-S.
Nailed it. Take that, Ottawa Myers Riders Twitter account calling you out on it. You're at 2.5 out of 4. That was a really good one. When you hesitated at the second P, I thought that was what was going to get you for sure. Awesome job. All right, now last one I have for you here. Okay, this is Djibouti. Where Djibouti is, I'm actually not familiar. Here is your clue for Djibouti. Would you like to hear a proper pronunciation of it so you can get kind of a clear look at what you're dealing with here?
Yes, please.
All right, here it is. All right, there's your clue.
Djibouti, that's tough. I have no idea. Djibouti.
Be careful. This is a family show. This is a family show here, Jaeger.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
That's okay. Give it a shot. We'll see what happens.
Djibouti. Let's go. J-A-B-O-O-D-Y. Djibouti.
You were close. So we are left at 2.5 out of 5 because Djibouti is actually spelled. Just think of it this way, kids. You don't listen to the D. The D is silent, and it's spelled D-J-I-B-O-U-T-I. If there's one thing that OVFL Live wants to do, it's to educate the public on spelling. So that is how you spell Djibouti. You are left at 2.5 out of 5. I only have one left for you that I need to get you out on here for. Can you spell winner for me?
Yeah, W-I-N-N-E-R.
There it is. Jaegar Prot, the OVFL Live Player of the Week, after having 7 receptions for 268 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Now, Jaeger, for anybody listening, as a player in the OVFL, I think this means more coming from you than coming from me. Would you like to have a t-shirt that says, I am the OVFL Live Player of the Week, that you can wear for the rest of your life proudly?
Well, for sure I would. Gives you something to strive for.
Exactly. It gives something for the players to talk about in this league, and somebody down the road will stare at your shirt and say, man, what is that? And you'll say, oh, I was on this radio show, and I was awesome at spelling, and I got OVFL Live Player of the Week. So we want the sponsors to get in on this so we can send you out something fun to remember being here with us instead of just going home empty-handed. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, I'll try and put that together for you, brother. Thank you for being here. Jaegar Prot, a great week. We look forward to watching you through the rest of the OVFL season, and all the best down the road. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Talk to you soon. That was Jaegar Prot of the Ottawa Myers Riders. A pretty good showing, I would say, on the old spelling bee right there. That was a good time. Good for him. All right, it is time. We have about 12 minutes remaining here. I want to do a last little bit random segment, bring some things to your attention that I find hilarious, and I hope you do too. Top prospect Sam Bennett in the NHL draft. The NHL Draft Combine was last week. He plays for the Kingston Frontenacs in the OHL. He failed to do a single pull-up. What? He failed to do a single pull-up. In the interview after, he said, I was definitely disappointed with myself. I was wanting to do the best in every test, but I guess ultimately, games aren't won or lost if you can do a pull-up in the gym.
That's what she said.
Come on, Sam. I'm not sure if Sam has watched the NHL playoffs. I'm guessing he has because he's a top prospect and he's a great guy to want to move into this league, and he's highly skilled and all of that. What are the playoffs defined as in the NHL? Physical, hard-hitting, hard-nosed. I saw an interview with Jeff Carter last night after their Game 7 win against the Chicago Blackhawks, the LA Kings, Jeff Carter. He's got 4 teeth missing in the front of his mouth, the biggest beard I've ever seen, sweat dripping out of his beard. He looked like the prototypical hockey playoff player, and we have a guy named Sam Bennett who can't do a pull-up and would like to play in this league and be a highly skilled player. I don't know if your body's going to last that long. I went to school with Taylor Hall, who went on to play with the Edmonton Oilers, and he is a pretty physically built guy. They might not have won a lot of games, but Taylor's taken some huge hits, and he's lived to talk about it. So I think you need to get a little more built up there, Sammy boy, before you go first overall. I think that should be a requirement. The league should just look at you and say, you can't do a single pull-up and you've been training? We'll talk to you. We'll be in touch. Thanks, man. I'm sure we'll be around the bend. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Thanks, bye. All right, so that was Sam Bennett. I found that kind of funny. Joe Namath turned 71 on Saturday. Wanted to make sure I got in this little bit of Joe Namath history. Broadway Joe, everybody loves him. I was watching Hard Knocks Marathon yesterday on NFL Network, the show that chronicles NFL teams each fall as they go through training camp. It was the one with the Jets. He showed up to training camp in 2010 and just sat in the meeting room and ripped on Mark Sanchez and was just the most honest human being. Say what you want about Joe's off-field antics through the years. He is a guy that has accomplished a lot and has also been a really fun figure to have in the world of football. He showed up at the Super Bowl this past year in New York, New Jersey to do the coin toss, and he showed up looking like the IKEA monkey. For anybody who's seen that, know what I'm talking about. He wore the big fur coat that he is famous for, and truly any Joe-related story gives me an excuse to play this clip of him absolutely hammered on the sidelines of a Monday Night Football game in 2003.
Mike, there's a whole lot of people that want to draw the comparison between one of the all-time great Jet quarterbacks, Joe Namath, and Chad Pennington. What impresses you about Chad?
I believe everything that anyone else has watched Chad play impresses me. The same thing impresses them. He's a quality, classy quarterback that has a touch on the football. He's not a thrower, he's a passer. His mind is ahead of what the defense is, and if the Jets can support him, they will win the championship.
Hold here 1 second for this, Joe.
Pennington draw play to Curtis Martin. He'll get 6.
Joe, it's been a tough season for Jet fans. What does it mean to you now when the team is struggling?
I want to kiss you. I couldn't care less about the team struggling. What we know is we can improve. Chad Pennington, our quarterback, missed the first part of the season, and we struggled. We're looking to next season. We're looking to make a noise now, and I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe. A huge compliment.
You know what?
Joe Namath, part of the 4-decade team. We'll see these guys at halftime.
All right. Thank you, Susie.
Joe's just a happy guy.
Isn't he?
He's just a happy guy.
Oh, boy, is he happy.
I can't believe how fast Susie Colbert wanted to get out of that situation. That's one of my all-time favorite audio clips in general. Don't care, hands down. Joe Namath on the sideline having a great time at a Jets home game on a Monday night with all of the other crazy Jets fans. I think it's given me some new soundboard options here. First one that I want to keep on the soundboard to use for the rest of the show. Not sure how we'll use it, but we will find a way. Would be this clip.
I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
That might just be for any time that someone scores a big touchdown and they deserve a big kiss for getting in the end zone. The other one that I have, I edited this together. I'll be honest, this wasn't the way that the clip came. Anytime that Tom and I are struggling on this show, we might just play this one.
We're struggling.
Yeah, we are struggling, and I'm struggling here without Tommy Boy today. Tom, where are you? I miss you, wherever you are. He'll be back. All right, wanted to move from there. Talk about two legendary broadcasters that I have great respect for, that I've kind of grown up listening to, and I'm sure a lot of people my age, or possibly older, possibly a couple years younger, have as well. You might not realize how important Bob Cole is to the world of hockey. He called all 7 games that were fantastic, and I'm very, very happy that he had the opportunity to call the fantastic Chicago-Los Angeles series, because it kind of gave him the platform to do what he has done for so long, which is be an incredible broadcaster with an iconic voice. Column from Luke Fox on Sportsnet.ca came out this week talking about Bob Cole. Said his voice sounds like childhood, like staying up past bedtime, like wearing out the front edge of the family couch. Since the legendary Foster Hewitt passed away in 1985, hockey's most recognizable play-by-play voice has belonged to Robert Cecil Cole, who broadcasted at least one game of the Stanley Cup Final from 1980 through 2008. Cole will turn 81 next month, with age and accuracy heading in opposite directions. He has slipped to Hockey Night in Canada's second line behind the razor-sharp Jim Hewson, who is at age 57, and now his future in the booth is in doubt. Bob Cole was trending on Wednesday night because he was in the booth and he had this great call on a Michael Handzus overtime winner. And this is only a small snippet. If you want to hear more great Bob Cole calls, they are all over YouTube. Listen to this one, though, from Wednesday night this week.
Tipped in over the line to Saad. Looks around, looks for help. Gets it over for Hanser scores! Hanser's victory for Chicago!
And the place goes crazy. That was Bob Cole. I remember him. How he'll stick out for me is Hockey Night in Canada, being on the first team, calling Habs and Leafs the whole time I was a little kid. I didn't realize how important he was to me growing up as a kid and how important his voice was until I got to be this age and to be interested in broadcasting and all of these things. And he absolutely needs to be back next year when Sportsnet gets their $5.2 billion contract with the NHL. He should be back. Another guy who I have great respect for and wanted to throw out a great sports moment that happened this past week, Buck Martinez for the Toronto Blue Jays. Buck has been an iconic broadcaster for a long time as well. This week, the Toronto Blue Jays were in a pinch. They were in extra innings, I believe. Anthony Gose, one of the speediest dudes in the entire Major League Baseball, was at bat. He bunted perfectly, and the rest happened, as you can hear from Buck Martinez's call.
Gose squares the bunt and drops it up the first base line, and they're going to reach it, and they throw it away. Carrara's headed to third. They're going to send him home. Here's the throw to the plate. The Blue Jays have walked off the race.
That's an awesome Buck Martinez call in a win streak as the Blue Jays went 21-9 in the month of May. Edwin Encarnacion with 16 home runs. I think we're all nervous. This will be my little bit on the Blue Jays, even though this is a football show. We're all nervous about the Jays being good, and we need to just embrace it, Forget about the past. If we get our hearts broken like the Leafs did this year, so what? If the Raptors win a ton of games and then go out in the first round, so what? We have these teams in our market. We have the ability to love them. Yeah, it's expensive, but you don't have to go to every game to love a team. You just need to be there and support them because we've been given these franchises. And if you look at an area like Seattle with the Supersonics that don't have a team anymore, that are starving for professional sport, we have a ton of great franchises in this city. They all need to be supported, especially when they're 21-9 in 1 month. Edwin Encarnacion tied Mickey Mantle for the greatest month for home runs in MLB history. Think about how many people play Major League Baseball year after year. And we have a guy that ties one of the all-time records and the most wins in franchise history for 1 month at 21. The Jays are doing it. Forget about what's happened in the past. Embrace them and enjoy the moment. That's my little spiel on that. Attendance is awful right now. Yeah, the DVP is all torn up. So what? Take the GO train. People from Hamilton, people from Guelph, all around this province. If you're listening to this podcast and you want to go to a game, do it. Spend the $15 to sit in the 500s. Who cares? Bring your binocs. That's all you need. The Jays are great. They are fun to listen to. I hope that you had fun listening to this show as well. That will do it for us this week. We are looking forward to being back in next week as we will be joined by a guest yet to be named that we have not talked to yet, and hopefully book somebody as soon as possible. We appreciate you listening to us. Like I said before, really appreciate the support from across the province. We'll be out again covering games next week. I will for sure be here in Hamilton covering the Ironmen when they take on the Brampton Bulldogs in a triple header of action. And I look forward to reaching out to some of the other teams in the area and all the way across the province, except maybe the Sioux. I'm sorry, Sabercats. I don't know if I can come cover a game. That's a little bit out of my pay grade, I think, to get up there and cover a game. Speaking of pay grade, heyo, segue. If you would like to be a sponsor, we are serious about this. As much as we like to joke about it, we would love to send the kids of this league that do great, amazing things some gear. A t-shirt. Doesn't take that much. $15 probably to send it through Canada Post. $10 a shirt to make. But we aren't going to do it out of our own pocket because I'm a starving student. So, please reach out to us. Twitter, Facebook. You can angry tweet me on my original personal Twitter account, @Marsh2Fergs. Anything you want. If you are a business owner anywhere in this province, we will throw on ads here for you. We'll joke about it, and we'll get some kids some gear that I think they would really appreciate to have and remember their OVFL experience. @OVFL_live is the Twitter account. That will do it for us here inside CFMU 93.3. Thank you for listening, and we hope to talk to you soon.
And that will do it from St. Louis, where the score is inconclusive. Good night.